Tua Tagovailoa's comments about height were very damaging to the Kyler Murray campaign in Arizona. The Phoenix Suns get a massive win against Sacremento Kings, and Sam Leavitt is going to be asked to do the impossible again. But don't worry, I'm still going to pick ASU. Let's talk about all that much more next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need him. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show, a special Friday edition of the Ben Garcia Show. There's a lot of things we got to get into. I've got a couple of different topics today, not just the standard two like we'd like to keep it to, but there's a lot of things going on in the Valley. I've got a lot of different opinions, so we've got to get into all of it. So with that being said, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Social media has been a little crazy over the last couple of days, which has been fun. Twitter, most notably. I'm sure some of you guys are following, that saga. You guys aren't interested in that stuff. If you, I will always take questions at the end of the show, the last 5 to 7 minutes. So we'll get to that as well. So do me a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And let's get started. So I already see someone in the chat, my guy, Johnny. I'm assuming it's Cortez. How did Kyler get exposed? Well, let's talk about it. Tua Tagovailoa was listed at 6 foot at the NFL Combine. 6 foot 3/8, if I'm not mistaken. Kyler Murray, I remember vividly, when he came out at the Combine, was listed at 5'10 and 1/8. That is a pretty significant difference between being 5'10 and 6 foot. And for me, the barometer of working in the NFL has always been that 6 foot mark, outside of Kyler Murray, who has been the statistical anomaly. However, Tua Tagovailoa may have thrown Kyler Murray under the bus, and he didn't even mean to. Tua basically said the other day that the reasoning why he doesn't throw the ball sometimes to his teammates over the middle of the field is because sometimes he can't see them over the offensive lineman. Right there, my jaw dropped wide open. I spoke with a couple of other people, and they all said the same thing. Why would Tua Tagovailoa say such a thing? That is going to affect future paydays. That's going to affect teams ever wanting to trade for him. That's going to affect a multitude of different quarterbacks who are shorter than the average quarterback in the NFL. That is going to affect them getting drafted moving forward. That is an unintended consequence. Like we have bro code, there's girl code, there's quarterback code. Tua Tagovailoa broke it. He broke it. And I couldn't help but think about Kyler Murray in this instance. Because there was a world for me. Like, I know I've totally flipped the script on the Kyler Murray thing. I was a defender. I was a supporter. I thought he was a budding top 8 quarterback in the NFL at his best. Like, all of those things were clearly wrong, and I'm not going to stand behind a wrong opinion. If it's wrong, I'm going to change my mind. But the Kyler Murray thing is interesting because I went from thinking Kyler Murray could be a top 8 quarterback in the NFL to Kyler Murray can work in the NFL. He's just got to find the right team for him. Like I mentioned, which feels like a pretty good take right now, I would have called up the Minnesota Vikings the day after the Packers game and said, hey, what would you give up for Kyler? Because J.J. McCarthy looks like he ain't it yet. That could always change. Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz. The offensive line is having trouble. Kyler Murray can move around, move the pocket, make things a little bit easier on everyone. Now, he's not going to make that offensive line elite, but it's going to help. And Kyler Murray being able to find guys would be able to help this team, that being the Vikings. But I've went from thinking the I've went from thinking Kyler Murray is a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, just waiting to happen, to I'm not sure Kyler can ever work in the NFL. And the reasoning for that is because Tua Tagovailoa broke quarterback code. I always, over the last couple of weeks, I was starting to buy into the height argument against Kyler. He's just too small. He can't see over the offensive line. And I thought that was kind of picking on Kyler Murray. I didn't think that that would actually be the case. But when Tua Tagovailoa comes out and says he has trouble seeing over the offensive line, I immediately think of Kyler. Because Kyler Murray's 2 inches shorter than Tua Tagovailoa. And that kind of helps piece together the puzzle of, well, why don't they run more things under center? Well, what is everything going to be, a 5-step drop under center? Because he can't see over the line potentially in a 3-step. Okay, well, then if that limits what you can do under center, might as well just make everything over, or might we just want to make everything shotgun? And then if that doesn't work, it has just gone from a very concerning thing now with Kyler that I'm not sure he can see over the line. And if that's the case, what are we to do with Kyler Murray then? I don't even know if any team would want Kyler to would want to trade for Kyler Murray right now. Clearly, he has trade value. I'm not trying to pick on Kyler. Geno Smith had trade value. Carson Wentz was once traded for a first-round pick. But it is interesting. I don't want to just buy into that argument because it does feel like picking on Kyler at least a little bit. But that was damning. Those were some damning comments. If Kyler really can't see all the time over the Cardinals' offensive line, that limits everything you can do offensively. And it got me to this, guys. I went really far down this rabbit hole. Does that mean we've been too hard on Drew Petzing? And what do I mean by that? By association, does that mean I've been too hard on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Meaning, think of every big Marvin Harrison Jr. catch. Every single one, outside of the Rams one, where it was kind of that broken play crosser, maybe the Dolphins one, that crosser against Jalen Ramsey for a touchdown. Outside of those two, think of every big Marvin Harrison Jr. catch. And why is he running a fly pattern in every single one of them? A 9 route. Basically, for those of you that don't know the football lingo, just a streak, running straight down the field. Why is that Marvin Harrison Jr.'s MO when catching every big pass, every touchdown catch, it feels like, in the NFL? And you say to yourself, Marvin is killing guys inside the slot, running crossers, drag routes, getting creative. Go over the middle of the field. Maybe Drew Petzing wants to do that, but he knows Kyler Murray can't see over the line all the time. So he's wasting just Marvin Harrison Jr. running routes in worries of he's just going to play cardio at the end of the day. So it's just interesting. When those comments came out, I was thinking to myself, oh man, Tua just costed everyone. It wasn't just Kyler. There's going to be undersized quarterbacks coming out of the draft. Like Dylan Gabriel, undersized quarterback. Sam Leavitt says he's 6'2". I've got it on good authority. He's not 6'2". How is that going to affect quarterbacks coming out of the draft? How is that going to affect Kyler Murray's market? Because Tua, it was just stupid. I can't believe you'd say that. I mean, you cost yourself money. Teams are always going to be desperate for a quarterback. You openly admitting you can't see the field. It's wild. My guy in the chat, Zach Vitt, and of course, I'll get to all your guys' comments at the end of the show. If you guys have questions, I'll answer them. Again, at the end of the show, I'll take the last 5 to 7 minutes for questions. Kyler always has to roll out to see the field, but once teams figured it out, that was it. And everything clicked after that. Everything clicked. And so, yes, Kyler's going to have trade value. But what would they get back for him? Because you know that is coming up. Anytime Monty picks up the phone and calls another team, hey, what do you want for Kyler? We're not, can he see over the line? Like, we're not that interested. And so, I saw that and I thought, wow, what a terrible loss for Kyler Murray during the bye week. And what a terrible loss for the Cardinals. Like, it still leads me to believe that Jacoby Brissett is the best option. He's the best option at the quarterback position for this team. You're not limited what you can do throwing the ball downfield, over the middle, under center. You're not limited in any of those things. With Kyler Murray, you might be limited. Not because he doesn't have, all the arm angles when guys are open. Not because he can't throw a beautiful deep ball. Not because he's not one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the NFL. But because of very simply, the height thing is a big deal. So, my guy in the chat, Steven Coachell, who's here again, missed that dude. Just draft a 5'8" lineman, JK. That is funny. Anyways, let's move on to some Suns stuff, because there are some Suns things I wanted to get into. For those of you that don't know, I do host Locked On Phoenix Suns as well. But, that's a little bit more analytical. I want to get more opinionated here. It feels like I was the only person not giving up on the Suns at halftime against the Sacremento Kings in their home opener. I was obviously at that game. I'm going to be at a lot of games this year. That's just, the MO of the job, which is fun time. If you guys are at the games, hit me up, ask me if I'm there. Love to come say hello. But I think you saw the epitome of what the Phoenix Suns are going to be this season. And there's a couple of different avenues I want to go down. They are going to get back into games the same way I've been saying they're going to get back into games all preseason, all off-season long. You get down big to the Sacramento Kings, what does it matter? You have to lean on the defensive side of the ball to get you back into it. When Devin, the most impressive thing about that win is if I told you, the Arizona Cardinals, the Phoenix Suns' best shot maker in Devin Booker isn't hitting shots. They're inefficient from the floor. Dylan Brooks is chucking up 24 shots, can't make any of them. He's shooting low 40s from the field. Your rookies aren't playing because they don't want to throw them out there in that scenario. And the Kings are shooting north of 55% from the field. If they're doing all those things, the Suns should lose all those games. But when the third quarter hit, the Suns turned defense into offense. They flipped the script on the Kings. And the Suns have a switch that they can flip whenever. Meaning they can turn up the intensity from 4 to 24 on a scale of 1 to 10 at any point they want to. And so that's what they did to the Sacramento Kings. They suffocated that team defensively. They turned defense into offense. And the reasoning why I've been coining it a culture win on Locked On Suns, on social media, is because you need those type of wins to point to later on in the season. What happens if the Suns get down by 15 points in the middle of the third quarter against the Los Angeles Clippers? They can say to themselves, what does it matter? We just had this the other day. You need to be able to have wins that you can point to in the, you need to be able to have wins that you can point to later in the regular season and say, hey, I know we're down big right now, but we've already done this before. Suns are the only team in the NBA with a over 20-point comeback win this season. Now, listen, it's early in the season. No one has played more than 2 games. No one has played 3 games yet. The Suns have their second game tonight. But that's what they're going to do. And also, when the Suns are playing, the Suns have clear leadership as well, which is something they were missing last year. And for some reason, Kevin Durant fanboys can't just say, yeah, my guy's not a great leader. He said he doesn't want to be a leader. All those things. But the Suns have real leadership now. And when they're going up against teams like the Los Angeles Clippers tonight, that I think lack leadership, and like that team is destined to fail. Like, just so we're clear. The Clippers might have a good regular season. I think there's a chance that they're just bad this year. Save this for later in the season. Because the head of the snake matters. And the head of the snake is what? Kawhi Leonard, emotionally unavailable Kawhi Leonard. Physically sometimes available, emotionally never available. And potentially circumventing the salary cap. James Harden, who has been a notorious playoff guy who does not show up when the brights get the lightest. When the lights get the brightest. And then Bradley Beal, who is a bailer, not a baller. So if the Suns got up on the Clippers by 15, 20 points early in the game, I'd say that they'd win that game because the Clippers have no identity to be able to pull back on and say, hey, who's gonna bring this team in leadership style and lead them on the court? That matters. I know, basketball heads that, just want to look at statistics don't think so. Leadership matters. And there's only so much a head coach can do. But the Suns have Dillon Brooks and they have Devin Booker. They have vocal leaders. And so I could see the Suns coming out and beating the Clippers tonight. And this is one of those games tonight where it's like house money game. You lose this game, not a big deal. Probably shouldn't use the term house money when talking about the NBA right now. But it is house money. You beat the Clippers tonight, boom. You're 2-0, and you probably shouldn't be. Because the Kings were up 20 points on you, and the Clippers, everyone is picking them to be better than you this year. And then you go into that Denver Nuggets game, and you're thinking to yourself, we lose this game, it's not that big of a deal. And then you go into the Jazz, hoping maybe you can squeeze out a win there, start the season 3-1. I'll say it again for those of you that weren't here the other day. These games matter. These coin flip games matter. Because there's a lot of scheduled losses. You're going to lose to Denver likely, OKC, the Knicks, like those teams that have a deeper and better roster and just more talented roster than you do are probably going to beat you. But you win these games like the Kings and the Clippers, you buy yourself some, cushion for when Devin Booker goes out or for when you have a stretch against a bunch of really good top 3 seeds in a row. Here's the other thing. I've been pretty hard on Jalen Green, and he hasn't even stepped on the floor yet. And it's unfair of me because I didn't think the Suns would miss Jalen Green as much as they missed him last night. Like I said on Locked On Phoenix Suns, I might just start Grayson Allen because it might fit what the Suns want to do more. Nope. That was wrong. That was a bad take. Unless Grayson Allen starts turning into a real shot creator and 46% from 3 like he was 2 years ago. Nope. That was wrong. This team is actually going to be really dependent on Jalen Green's offense. They really missed Jalen Green's offense and shot creation the other night. When Devin Booker's shots were not falling, when Dillon Brooks was chucking up 24 of them, you needed another guy in there to create some shots and make things a little bit easier on everyone. And so it was, I didn't think I'd be saying to myself, game 1, you know what this team really needs? Jalen Green. They need Jalen Green. Because offensively, like defensively, yeah, does he have his shortcomings? Sure. But put him around Ryan Dunn and Dillon Brooks and Devin Booker, who can be a capable defender. He can get in passing lanes. He can use his athleticism positively on the defensive end, turn defense into offense, all those things. And I just didn't think I'd be saying that. Like, again, hand up right here. Wrong on the Kyler Murray thing, wrong on the Jalen Green thing to an extent. They are going to be relying on him a lot this regular season, and a lot of it has to do with they just need someone else that can score the basketball. They need someone else that can run a pick and roll, get cut back door, get cheap buckets, because one of the things the Suns are going to be missing this year is the ability to get a cheap bucket. And so I might have been a little too hard on Jalen Green. Final topic of the day. As we zoom through these things, because, a million things going on today in the world of all things sports in Arizona. ASU is going to be asked to do the impossible once again. No Jordyn Tyson this weekend. Hamstring injury, which, by the way, says a lot about Jordyn Tyson and his toughness. If you don't think that, that was telling to a lot of general managers and NFL teams, hey, this guy just strained his hamstring and he's staying in the game. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to catch a touchdown right after and then do a hamstring celebration, acting like it's hurt. They're going to be without their best offensive player this weekend. Yes, that's including Sam Leavitt. Jordyn Tyson is a top 4, top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I have talked to a person close to the situation, scouting and otherwise. Teams are very, very high on Jordyn Tyson, meaning that kid's going to go in the top 8 picks at minimum. I feel like I'm a little bit harder. I feel like I'm a little bit harder on Marvin Harrison Jr. than others, and I've kind of scaled that back a little bit with some of the developments with Kyler Murray this year. However, Jordyn Tyson almost excites me more than Marvin Harrison Jr. because there's less hype around him. People don't know about him as much. And he's going to show up in the NFL day one and dominate. But with that being said, Jordyn Tyson's going to be out this weekend against Houston. And ASU faces another do-or-die game against Houston. And this game, I want to make sure, before I just talk out my you-know-what. No, it is at home. What am I saying? I don't need to look it up. ASU's at home this weekend against Houston. I don't need to look that up. I know that. And ASU faces another game that they have to win. They need to win this game to once again take another tiebreaker from Houston. Not to mention, ASU's got 2 losses. They have one Big 12 loss. That was against Utah a couple of weeks ago. Or I'm sorry. Against Utah a couple of weeks ago. They have to win these games. Like, they can't be tied with Utah at the end of the year in the Big 12 conference play. They can't be tied with Houston. Leave no doubt. You are at home. These games should be favored towards you. And ASU still has the better quarterback, has the head coach combination, and that can get you really far. And I know I've been singing the praises of Sam Leavitt more than anyone else, but what's the next task? Well, Sam Leavitt's a little short, maybe a little, like nothing outrageous, not Kyler Murray, 5'10". But Sam Leavitt has the ability to sling the ball downfield. The arm angles are insane, and he's added a new wrinkle to his offense, rushing the ball. And now he's asked to face another tall task. If ASU loses this game, I can already see it now. People posting the stuff of, well, how good is he without Jordyn Tyson? And I say, well, beat U of A without Jordyn Tyson, beat Iowa State without Jordyn Tyson, and then went down to the wire with Texas, where he had one position group that was better than Texas, the running back position. So it's just another tall test. And Sam Leavitt has been here before. And ASU has to find a way to win this game. And again, like, there are games I'm going to pick ASU to lose in. I picked them to beat Texas Tech. I picked them to beat Utah, but that, in hindsight, was just stupid. But everything else, I can be impartial with this stuff. I can look back at that Utah game and say, yeah, I whiffed on it there. But I'll pick ASU to beat Houston this weekend too. And the reasoning for that is just, again, simple. When you have the foundation and the culture that ASU has, sure, they're going to be missing their best guy. Quarterback, head coach combination matters a lot more than you give it credit for. And I think people are sleeping on this defense of ASU. They got chewed up and spit out against Utah a couple weeks ago. A lot of teams get chewed up and spit out from Utah. Not to mention, when you're missing your best player, one of your best players in Sam Leavitt, and the rain is falling down at a ridiculous pace, makes things a little bit more slippery. That makes it tough for a defense to keep you into it. And so this weekend against Houston, it's kind of the same stuff. Can the defense make timely plays? Like, this game is going to look like I think the TCU game looked. I think there's a chance ASU gets down 10 points. But I'm not going to count them out. They've came back from big possessions before. They've been in the big spots. The difference between ASU and Houston is being battle tested, is experience. Like, I think one of those things that came to play against Utah was Utah's just a very experienced team. They've got a lot of good players on it. And, like, I think Sam Leavitt, when you add him, the head coach combination, the experience, the defense that just continues to make timely play after timely play, week in and week out, I expect them to win this game. And if they don't win this game, like, I'll tell you right now, like, it's just going to be hard for them to get into the playoff. So it is a must win. But these games are at home. You've got Houston at home this weekend. And then you've got your last real massive test, Iowa State. And then after that, if they make the Big 12 championship, obviously that'll be the biggest game of the season. But this is it. These next two games, Houston, Iowa State. Got to win these next two games. And I'm going to take Sam Leavitt over Rocco Becht. And I'm going to take Kenny Dillingham over what Houston and Iowa State both have. And it's a tall test. Like, it's another test for Sam Leavitt. Okay, you just did another thing. Now go beat Houston, a 6-1 team, without your best player. And if he does that, like, what's the excuse going to be? Why is Sam Leavitt not one of the best quarterbacks in college football? If he goes into Tempe playing a really good Houston team, doesn't have cheap touchdowns over the top with Jordyn Tyson, what is the excuse then going to be if they win this game? What is it going to be? Someone tell me, please. Or is it going to be he has to play the next game, left-handed? So I'll take ASU to win this weekend. And, a lot of you guys called me crazy for saying they'd beat Texas Tech because I'd take the culture, quarterback, wide receiver over microwaved oil money success every single time. With that being said, guys, I'll take the last couple of minutes to take some of your guys' questions. I'm going to go through them right now as I play with my phone for a brief second to make sure, everything's on time on my end. Let's start here. My guy, Brian, the first question. Is he running a little late or is YouTube messed up? I'm running a little late. All right? Listen, one-man band. This ain't, Arizona Sports or PHNX Sports. They all do, good work. I'd say the Ben Garcia show is better because I'm biased. But I'm a one-man band. Sometimes it just runs a little late. How did Kyler get exposed? We obviously mentioned that. By the way, the new room looks sick. Thank you. Hey, for those of you that didn't know, like, we moved into a house. Like, we're not in a apartment anymore. Like, we are in a 3-bedroom house plus a office den. So this is it now. Like, it's pretty awesome. Maybe I got to have a cookout with everyone. Bring all the subscribers over and make them food or something. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys are crazy, which is probably a good thing. Maybe I want crazy subscribers. Vikings desperately need a quarterback. Would love to get their first round for K1. Again, I don't think that's crazy. Carson Wentz once went for a first round pick. Kyler needs a new fan base. Yeah. I think Kyler wants to be done. I think if you ask Kyler behind closed doors, I think he wants a fresh start. No, but Vikings would be desperate to have him. Probably get a second and a lottery ticket. Maybe. Like, JJ McCarthy would be interesting. I met Drew Brees in person. He's maybe 6 foot, more likely 5'11", 100%. 100%. It's why he has to play shotgun every step. My guy Steven in the chat. Good to see him. Good morning, gents. At least we don't have to worry about the Cardinals losing. That's funny. Is that the reason they don't run any slants? Saul, it might be. We got anything else in the chat that are just questions? Sorry, I don't mean to. I should probably be better prepared for this. I know that Malawach is young. Any chance we see him this year? I think, come on, Malawach. I think Kamon Malawach didn't play on Wednesday because it's already tough to come in and make an immediate impact as a rookie. Imagine doing that in a close game. Like, I think he was going to play, and Rasheer Fleming was going to play. But, like, they played 9 guys deep. They played 10 guys deep. Nick Richards played 5 minutes. They played 9 guys deep. And I think Kamon Malawach and Rasheer Fleming were going to play, but, like, do you trust a rookie in their first game, in a close game? Like, I don't. So, like, I don't hold it against him. Like, why would you trust that guy in the very first game of the season? So, like, yeah, Malawach is going to play. I think Malawach is the starter halfway through the season, potentially. Love that guy. I think Malawach is going to be awesome. Which crazy about how much basketball players are still getting paid, and they're still, dude. Allegedly, everything is alleged, but holy cow, that story is insane. It's also really interesting. Would love a Clippers win tonight. Hey, Ben, I live in the idea that might help the Cards. Fire the OC, fire the DC, fix the trade. You know, I wouldn't want to trade Kyler for Shedeur Sanders straight up because I don't think Shedeur Sanders is actually any good. But I would be interested in, like, the lottery tick on a Shedeur Sanders. And I shouldn't say he's not any good. He has talent. I just don't think I don't know if he's a franchise guy. And he also has some of the same, not cognitive, that's rude, but I think motor issues as Kyler Murray has. Maybe he's not the hardest worker, that kind of stuff. But I'm not against it. I'm not against, like, I was the one that said, like, I would have drafted Shedeur Sanders. I also said I would have drafted Carson Beck late in these rounds because why not? Like, don't get caught flat-footed if Kyler Murray doesn't work, which I've been right on. So you don't see us beating anyone for the rest of us Cardinals fans? I mean, yeah, the Cardinals are too talented to lose every single game for the rest of the year. But, like, is it better for the Cardinals to lose every game and get a top 5 pick? Like, I'd argue it is. Do you want to win 8 games and miss the playoffs, or do you want to win 3 and get a top 5 pick, get your quarterback? This team is ready-made. I see the Cards' final record 2-15. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, for me as a content creator, which always comes first, my opinions, my content creation, my analysis, the fandom is, like, way back there. This is not a fan-centric show. People get mad at me all the time. Like, yeah, this is not a fan-centric show. I'm not going to wave the pom-poms. I'm not going to tell you how great it is. I'm going to hold the team accountable, and if you get upset with me, great. Don't care. But if I was a fan, I'd be rooting for this team to win 2 games. Because I'd rather just have the top 5 pick than I'd rather have the top 5 pick than than win 8 games and be stuck in limbo. For me, it kind of sucks because it makes content harder, and I'm a busy person. Very busy. Ben, a.k.a. Kyler's number 1 hater. I don't hate anyone. I don't, like, guys, I don't care. I don't care enough about anyone else in this world to hate them. So let's just be lazy and blame Kyler for all the problems the offense has. I don't know what to say anymore. If you haven't watched the last 2 weeks of football and you're like myself and you're someone that was a big Kyler Murray fan and you haven't come to the realization maybe he was the problem, like, I can't help you. If you still think, like, if you are still, like, die hard defending Kyler, I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you because if Kyler Murray is awesome, that makes my life way more better. Way better. I make more money, more people watch the show, more people are tuned in. So, like, I hope Kyler comes out and rattles off 10 wins. But, like, we have to be honest. So, I hope the Kyler thing works out for you. I've lost hope in it. So, anyways, with that being said, that's, like, I can't. No one's blaming Kyler for everything. Clearly, there's a little bit of stuff, but, like, the biggest thing, the easiest fix is to get a new quarterback. But with that being said, guys, what do I think about Doug Peterson as a head coach next year? Yeah, Javier, I saw you say this in the chat yesterday. I just didn't have time to get to it. Love you, man. That's a terrible idea. Doug Peterson's been terrible. Ever since he had that loaded Eagles team, he's been terrible. I'd be so against that. You know who's actually interesting? And I got to get out of here? Mike McCarthy. He wins a lot of games. An adult in the room. But also, I don't really want to fire the head coach. All right. If we do have a 4 pick and we mortgage the future of the Cardinals on our guy, it didn't work out, could set us back so far. Waste trade. Thank you, Brian. You get it. you get it. With that being said, guys, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the stream. I got to get to work. Busy guy. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys hit me up, at me. I'm supposed to be playing a pickup basketball game with Eric Ruby in a couple of weeks here. I might need you guys to show up. Maybe root me on. He's going to have the advantage. He's bigger, stronger, faster. No, he's probably not faster, but he's bigger, stronger than me. Everyone's kind of like, it sounds like he's the heavy favorite. And, I'm going to need some stands. I'm going to need some stands defending me a little bit here, guys, because, I'm on my own here. I'm very scared. Very. That being said, guys, stay safe. Have a heck of a weekend. And do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to the stream. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Until Monday at 7 a.m., it's been the Ben Garcia Show. More handsome. That's absolutely true, Brian. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys on Monday.